everyone becomes American.
That's not true in the UK, though, unfortunately.
I don't believe that anyone is coming into the United States of America or the UK because they want to bring about a Salafist-style Islamic caliphate. Agree with me on this.
It's not about whether I agree, it's about whether the facts agree with you.
I don't think that's the case.
Hold on.
I think ultimately...
Well, let me just give you some facts then. If that we have a terrorist attack on a monthly basis.
You're about to see Konstantin Kisin completely expose Hasan Piker, because whether in the UK or in the US, leftists make the same mistake. Their hatred for the billionaires blinds them to seeing dangers from people who hate our civilization. And it's so satisfying seeing that get exposed in this video. Let's watch.
American pop culture, as do many people all around the world. And what I always find interesting is when people focus on the newcomers, to say that this is actually destroying the social fabric or social cohesion, not realizing that there are a ton of polls conducted on this stuff. I can just speak for America, especially, where by the second generation, assimilation is almost complete. And by the third one, it's like virtually impossible to distinguish in terms of performance, educational output, and job performance in general. It's just like everyone becomes American.
That's not true in the UK, though, unfortunately. So if you look at, for example, Islamist radicalization, second and third generation Muslims are much more radical than first generation.
Yeah.
So we're not, that's the issue that a lot of people in Britain are concerned about, is not everyone's assimilating the way that the three of us have done.
So here's the interesting point about that. Well, two things I want to address. First, like I said, people assimilate. And they become a part of the
some people
normal forces of society. They become a part of the culture, or they bring some aspect of their culture into British culture. You know, they change the cuisine, and people seemingly enjoy it, even if they also simultaneously go attend an EDL rally and then, you know, get a little quick curry afterwards, or a little kebab on the side.
Can someone dig up Tom Roberts' grave? You know, the 21-year-old that was unalived by an Afghan asylum seeker. The guy who was actually 19 but posed as 14 years old a couple of years ago, and let Tom Roberts know that, don't worry, by the time this guy has his kids and grandkids, they'll have assimilated. And don't forget to mention that anybody who has a problem that our immigration system enables things like this is just a racist who's ungrateful for the amazing benefits of unbridled mass immigration.
The reason why people are angry is always going to be because the trains are not running on time, because the NHS is improperly managed due to underfunding. That's what I believe. I think it's always an issue of underfunding, where they're not getting the same services that they once used to, and also things are becoming more and more costly. So in that anger, it's much easier for them to be guided by a right-wing, guided by the right-wing forces, to turn around and say, you're angry and you're right to be angry. And the reason why you're angry, the reason why all of these things are happening, is because we are importing all of these random strangers into the country who don't speak your language, who you are scared by. And that, I think, causes division, and it causes friction that makes it harder for people to integrate. And that is part of the reason why I think, especially in a place like the UK, you see a little bit more of this resilience towards full-blown integration into society.
I also think as well, Hasan, if we're being honest, it's also because we have had such huge amounts of immigration come into the country that people understandably go, this pace of change is too much. And you have to think, let's go back to 2016, which was the Brexit referendum. Now, Brexit was about many things, but really it was about people wanting immigration to be lowered. And that was nigh on 10 years ago. Immigration hasn't been lowered. In fact, it's been ratcheted up. So people people voted to lower immigration. And for instance, I voted Remain. People voted Brexit. I'm like, well, that's democracy. We get on. We're going to make the best of it. I do believe that when you ignore people's wishes at the ballot box and people explicitly vote for something and you ignore them for the best part of a decade, that does generate a lot of anger, and understandably so.
Yeah, I think in that same time frame, if there was enough appetite by the government to address the financial harm that people were experiencing, the economic struggles that people were experiencing, there would still be a lot of people who say, I don't want a brown person, I don't want a black person around in my neighborhood. But ultimately, those numbers would be far smaller. And that's what I always go back to. I'm a leftist. I believe in economic improvements, and I believe that a lot of the reactionary forces actually take advantage of that instability, the economic volatility that exists, in an effort to shift the attention away to people who have the same exact interests as you and I do.
This is the modern leftist mindset. All you need to do is fix economics, and people won't have an issue with the fact that Pakistani grooming gangs targeted young girls because they weren't English. Fix economics and people won't have an issue that our immigration system is broken. People won't have an issue that Christmas markets are regularly attacked. People won't have an issue that there are those who abuse our welfare system and abuse our asylum system. People won't have an issue with any of these things. Just tax the billionaires, just tax the wealthy, as if everything in life is about money.
Because ultimately, I don't believe that anyone is coming into the United States of America or the UK, as a matter of fact, because they want to bring about a Salafist-style Islamic caliphate in London. I know you won't agree with me on this.
It's not about whether I agree. It's about whether the facts agree with you.
I don't think that's the case.
Hold on.
I think ultimately,
well, let me just give you some facts then. If that, we have a terrorist attack on a monthly basis by an Islamist, effectively. We just had 2 in the space of the last month as we're recording this. 33%, I think, of British Muslims want Sharia law in Britain, like according to polls. More than half want to ban.
I haven't seen these polls.
Well, we can put them in for people to see. More than half want to ban homosexuality, right? So when you say people aren't coming in to introduce an Islamist stuff, well, some of them want to if they're in a position to do so. We have 5 MPs who are effectively elected on a sectarian ticket, like as in we are Muslims, vote for us because you're a Muslim.
Who would you say those MPs are?
The 5 independent MPs. They're called the Gaza MPs or whatever way you want to call them. Right?
Are you talking about like Zara Sultana?
I don't know if she's one of them. I think one of them is called Adnan Hussein. There's 5 of them. We can look them up. We can put them in for people to see. Right. So I think it should be said that the overwhelming majority of British Muslims don't want Sharia law. But if 33% of them do, you can see why a lot of people who don't want Sharia law might be concerned about that, right?
Sure. I don't know what I haven't seen these polls, and I also don't know what British Muslims, or the 33% that are saying they want Sharia law, like what they're talking about.
If you want to understand what Muslims or many Muslims think about when they say they want Sharia law, then don't take our words for it. Listen to a Muslim himself. Ed Hussein wrote the book Among the Mosques, where he traveled across the UK to find out what kind of Islam was on the rise in the country. One of the places he went to was in a town called Dewsbury, up north. And there he found one of the biggest mosques in the UK, can seat 4,000 congregants. That mosque has a seminary. And when he goes inside that seminary, he finds some really disturbing things. One of them is the fact that women are not allowed to enter the mosque. And the cleric from that mosque gave him a couple of books to read to explain why the mixing between men and women in society leads to the downfall of societies. That mosque also has a seminary. In that seminary, it's run by people who believe the Prophet Muhammad was a perfect model person to be emulated. Those same people, though, also believe that he married a 6-year-old girl and slept with her when she was 9. Those same people also believe in many of the military conquests that Muhammad undertook. And they see him as a model to be followed. In that seminary, they eat on the floor. They all grow their beards. Why? Because that's what Muhammad did. So when these people, who, by the way, belong to the Tablighi Jamaat, which is the largest Muslim organization in the world, that has their European central head office in the UK, believe it or not, when they say they want Sharia law, it is nothing like what you would want to live in unless you are a Muslim extremist. But why is it that people like Hasan and leftists want to completely close their eyes to those issues and just talk about how if we tax people more, all of these problems would go? There are people who have ambitions that are not just financial. They actually want to dominate. They are people who exploit systems of compassion, like England and the UK's asylum systems, which were set up based on our compassionate Christian foundation, that's being exploited, not for financial gain, but because they want to dominate. There are people who think this way and live this way, and closing your eyes to it so you can just talk about wealth inequality doesn't help anybody, because whether you're rich or you're poor, when your life is ended by Muslim extremists who want to declare the supremacy of Islam, it doesn't matter how much your bank balance is. It really doesn't. And we need more people to realize this. Otherwise, our future is going to be endangered by lunatics that cannot see these things as clear as day.